Hello everyone. I do hope that you've joined this video today with a cup of rosy lee. That is, of course, English for a cup of tea. But today I will be teaching you the ways of tea leaf reading, in other words, also known as Tasseography. It's tea leaf reading, one of the easiest and fun ways to divine what's coming by looking for patterns in tea leaves, and you don't even have to be a gypsy to do it. So here's what you'll need. Your favorite tea bag. You can use loose tea as long as the pieces aren't too big. A teacup and saucer. You'll want something light colored without a pattern on the inside. Be sure your cup has a wide enough opening at the bottom to allow the tea leaves to move around. A journal to write down any insights that you have or may get during your tea leaf reading. A good symbol dictionary, of which I will give a few meanings of to get you kickstarted. It may be helpful, though not essential, because we will be using our intuition to see what pops out when we do our tea leaf reading. It is a highly personal and subjective process. Trust your inner wisdom and guidance on what the symbols mean for you. Give yourself at least a 20-minute break if reading for yourself. Recognizing symbols does take a little time, so you may want to avoid distractions. Step 1, say a prayer, mantra, or affirmation as you begin to brew yourself a cup of tea, while keeping in mind your intention for the reading, your intention of why you have decided to read for someone or maybe for yourself. So I would like for you to slow down and pay attention to your movements as you put tea and water into your cup. And as your tea is brewing, take a few minutes to ground any excess energy, center yourself in your body, quiet your mind, relax, and enjoy your cup of tea. The ritual to be observed is very simple. The tea drinker should drink the contents of his or her cup so as to leave only about half a teaspoon of the beverage remaining. Next, take the cup by the handle in your non-dominant hand, rim upwards, and turn it 3 times from left to right, in one fairly rapid swinging movement. Think about what you want to ask. If no specific questions come to mind, you could then proceed to do a general reading. Next, very slowly and carefully, invert the cup over the saucer and leave it there for a minute, so as to permit all the moisture to drain away. The cup to be read should be held in the hand and turned about in order to read the symbols without disturbing them, which will not happen if the moisture has been properly drained away. Take a few deep breaths and look at the leaves with soft eyes. You are looking for shapes in the gathering of the tea leaves. Take your time and allow the symbols to reveal themselves without forcing something to come. Careful notice should now be taken of all the shapes and figures formed inside the cup. These should be viewed from different positions so that their meaning becomes clear. It is not very easy at first to see what the shapes really are, but after looking at them carefully, they become plainer. The different shapes and figures in the cup must be taken together in a general reading. Bad indications will be balanced by good ones, some good ones will be strengthened by others, and so on. It is now the business of the seer, whether the consultant or some adept to whom he has handed the cup to be read, to find some fairly close resemblance between the groups formed by the leaves and various natural or artificial objects. This part of the performance resembles the looking of pictures in the fire, and we also know that as another form of divination. Actual representations of such things as trees and animals, birds, anchors, crowns, coffins, flowers, and so forth may be the exercise of the powers of observation and imagination be discerned, as well as squares, triangles, and crosses. Each one of these possesses a symbol, some fortunate or unfortunate signification. Such signs may be either large or small, and their relative importance must be judged according to their size. Begin writing down the symbols as you recognize them, starting at the handle, noting where each symbol is in the cup. If a shape looks like a letter or reminds you of a certain person, just jot down the meaning that comes to mind first. Symbols closer to the rim of the cup apply to now, whereas the middle section represents the near future. That could be within a week, 2 weeks, couple of months. And then those symbols at the bottom apply to things that are ending. It should be observed that some cups, when examined, will present no features of interest, or will be so clouded and muddled that no clear meaning is to be read in them. In such a case, the seer should waste no time over them. Either the consultant has not concentrated on his or her attention upon the business in hand when turning the cup, or his destiny is obscured by the indecision of his mind or the vagueness of his ideas, that it is unable to manifest itself by symbols. Persons who consult the tea leaves too frequently often find this muddled state of things to supervene. Probably once a week will be often enough to look into the future. A question that will very naturally occur to persons of an inquiring turn of mind in regard to the figures and symbols seen in the teacup is, why should one symbol necessarily signify one thing and not something quite different? The answer, of course, is that the meaning given to the symbols are purely arbitrary, and that there is no scientific reason why one should signify one thing and not another. There is no real reason why the ace of clubs, for instance, should not be considered the house card instead of the 9 of hearts, or why the double 4 in dominoes should signify an invitation instead of a wedding, like the double 3. It is obviously necessary, however, in attempting to read the future by means of any kind of symbols, whether pips, dots, numbers, or anything else, to fix beforehand upon some definite meaning to be attributed to each separate symbol, and to hold fast to this meaning in all events. In the case of tea leaves, where the symbols are not mere conventional signs or numbers, but actual figures, like the pictures seen in the fire or those seen in dreams, there is no doubt that the signification of most of them is the result of experience. Keep in mind the meaning you assign to a symbol now can change later, depending on what is happening in your life. If your reading has negative symbolism throughout, remember you're the one in charge of making choices based upon your experience and what is best for your highest good. Let us look at some examples. The following figures are copied from actual teacups that have been at different times subjected to the proper ritual by various consultants and duly interpreted by seers. Take a few moments to look at each cup and see if you can pick up what I see. A crescent moon, a bird flying, triangles, initial A, other initials H and 2 L's. This shows, by means of the crescent moon on the side, prosperity and fortune as the result of a journey denoted by the lines. The number of triangles in conjunction with the initial H indicates the name, commences with that letter, and being near the rim at no great distance of time. The bird flying towards near the handle, accompanied by the triangle, a long envelope, denotes good news from an official source, and the flag gives warning of some danger from an enemy. The most striking features of this cup are the various indications of pleasure and social enjoyment, these being shown by the cake and butterfly, while the orchid in conjunction predicts that the consultant's personal charm and power of attraction will result in a future of wealth and social distinction. The pillar near the rim and handle gives a pleasing assurance of security and loyal friends. The bird flying from the cage brings joyful news that something which has been an obstacle in the way of the consultant's desire is about to be removed, and much future happiness may be looked for. The figure of a man fishing from a rock shows the arrival of a visitor who will have some pleasant news to tell. So near the rim is a small stone pillar, cake on a dish, and a man on the rock fishing. On the sides, see if you can see a bird cage and a small bird flying from it. On the circle, there's a butterfly and a lady's hat. In the center, an orchid with long stalks. Under the handle, some shapeless leaves. Now remember, I may pick things up and see things that you may not, and you may see things that I may not pick up. It's all about our intuitive seeing, knowing, and feeling at the time of doing these readings. After you feel you have received all the inner wisdom through the reading of the leaves, refer to your symbol dictionary for more information. Keep in mind that the meaning you assign to a symbol now can change later, depending upon what is happening in your life. If you enjoy reading your own leaves, it can also be great fun to practice understanding of symbolism by reading for your friends as well. At first, you may find it easier to read for your friends than for yourself. It's always more difficult to read for yourself because your analytical mind always gets in the way. But as with any skill, the more you practice, the better you will become. And most of all, remember to have fun.